Slope-Intercept form. This is a digital lesson. So it just starts with teaching the students what slope-intercept form is. It's the equation for a line in this format, y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope and b is the y-intercept. Then it gives students an example. This is an equation for a line written in slope-intercept form. And one way that we can graph the line is to create a table of values. So that's the first method we're going to use. So we're going to determine different values for x. So if x is 1, so we'll put 1 in place of x. That gives us 3 times 1 is 3, plus 5 is 8. So we get the point 1, 8. If x is 0, y is 5, and so on. So the students are going to do one on their own. Here we have the equation y equals 2x plus 3. If x were 1, then y would have to be 5, and they're going to type in a 5. If x is 0, y will be 3, and so on. And so students, once they get all the values for y, they're going to plot these points on the coordinate plane. So the first point would be 1, 5. So you just click and hold on that red dot. Start at the origin, go to the right 1, up 5. And there's the first point. Second point would be 0, 3. Start at the origin, 0, and then go up 3. And so on. And then you're going to plot all 5 points. They're going to do the same thing on the next slide, just a different equation. So if this is negative x, that means the slope is negative 1. And then we're going to look at a different example. Okay, instead of using a table of values, we can just use the slope and the y-intercept to find the equation for the line. So they're going to get a little practice here finding the y-intercept and that point. So that's just the first slide here. They're going to find that first point which shows the y-intercept. So in this equation, the y-intercept would be 5. So it would be the point 0.05. The next one, the y-intercept would be 7. So they type in 7. The y-intercept would be 0, 7. So that just gives them some practice finding the y-intercept. The next slide, they're going to be looking for the slope. So the slope would be that number multiplied by the x. First one is done for them. So the slope on this one would be negative 1. And this one can actually be written in 2 different ways. So it could be negative 1, rise, run 1, or these could be switched. Next one, the slope is 3. So it would be rise 3, run 1, and so on. So when they get to slide 9, they're going to determine first the y-intercept, which is 3. And they're going to place a point there. So that would be the point 0.03. The slope is 2. So we're going to type in a 2. And to find the slope 2, it would be rise 2 to the right 1, 2 over 1. Now that they have 2 points, they're going to come up here to the line tool, click on line. It'll give them a little plus sign. So they can start right here. And by clicking and holding on that little blue circle at the end of the line, they can move it where they need it to go. And that looks about right. I want it a little bit darker. I want to make it black and make that line a little bit thicker. Okay, so there we have the line for this equation just by looking at the slope and the y-intercept. Now they're going to do the same thing on slide 10, 11, 12, just different equations each time, finding the slope and the y-intercept. When they get down to 16, now they may be given an equation that's not in slope-intercept form, and they have to change it to slope-intercept form. So with this equation, we want y to be all alone on one side of the equal sign. So that means we have to get rid of the negative 3x. We're going to do that by doing the opposite. We're going to add 3x to both sides. That'll give us slope-intercept form, which is y equals 3x negative 5. So it gives a couple examples of how to do that. So in the next slide, students are just going to be taking these equations, changing them to slope-intercept form. So the first one, they're just going to subtract 7x from both sides. And they'll get negative 7x, negative 2, and so on. The final slide, they're going to be using sentence frames, and they're going to put the correct term in the correct box of the sentence frame. So all they have to do is click and hold, and they can move these into place. The equation for a line is in the form y equals mx plus b is called slope-intercept form. The first point to plot on the graph is b, or the y-intercept. To find the second point, use m, or the slope. If the equation for a line is not in slope-intercept form, change it to slope-intercept form using algebra. That just reinforces the steps for the students. Okay, so this is the digital lesson, slope-intercept form.